Hey y'all, I'm Garrett, and racism. Racism, it's tough, man. Like, it's hard to understand, it's hard to comprehend, it's even harder to teach. Because personally, I've never experienced real racism. Like, I look white, but I'm half white, half Mexican, and like my friends knew that, and I lived in Peru, so I would get like jeers of like, "Oh, you stupid Peruvian," or "You mestizo," but like they knew me. I looked white, so I never like got outside like effects of racism. Like it never really was a thing in my life. So it's hard for me to like teach it if I've never really experienced it. But if I were to teach it, I think I would cover like three main points. First thing would be like the definition. Like I feel like everyone needs a good understanding of like what it really is versus like what you think it is. And based on like lecture and course media, we kind of have like seven forms of racism, which is a course media. It's gonna be like representational, ideological, discursive, interracial, institutional, structural, systemic. And I feel like I need to like let my audience know the differences and like how the differences affect and impact the different like kind of people and how just like racism really is, because a lot of people think racism's just flat out like racist, like, hey, you're racist, like you can't be saying that you're racist. But like there's different forms, and people need to understand how the different forms impact the world. And I feel like good examples would just be kind of examples of each form, whether it be like pictures or like not like skits, but like an example of like how someone would be systemically racism or ideologically racist. Like just got little pictures like what's really going on. And then like second thing I talk about is like how racial bias works within the world and how to disrupt it, which is like another course media, and as well we talked about it in the lecture. But it's kind of like natural in the world and within media to just stereotype specific races. Like Asian people are smart, Mexicans make tacos, like black people are dangerous. Like it's just kind of how the media portrays it and how it's always been portrayed. And it's just straight out like stereotyping. And I would definitely explain that to the audience and like how kind of the world works in a sense, and definitely like how to disrupt it. So like examples would be like kind of real world examples in a sense, where like George Floyd or just other like impactful moments where like MLK, just like how it kind of evolved in a sense, and like how we're working to disrupt it. Just because like MLK and like Malcolm X, how they disrupted it and how we should be doing it now in a sense, because it definitely hasn't gone away and they need to know that. And to disrupt it now, it's just kind of like removing the past ideologies. In her TED Talk, she talked about how her son would like kind of work on it himself in a sense, where like he would get in the elevator and he would like feel the fear, and he would hold himself a certain way and talk a certain way to calm the people around him. And granted, it's probably not the best way to handle it, just because it's based on the person that is being affected by racism. But in a sense, we need to teach people how like it affects people, and like how to disrupt that affection in a negative way and make it better. And like the third thing I would talk about would be like how specific thoughts of fixing racism is actually counterproductive. In the course media, color blindness is counterproductive. I would definitely bring that up, because in a sense, color blindness isn't a thing. Like it's just purely part of the problem. You can't deny the fact that somebody is black, Asian, or whatever, just because you think that treating everybody equal in a sense is going to be not racist. But if you think about it, it is racist, because you can't deny the fact that somebody is who they are. It's like just doesn't really comprehend in my brain, and I need other people to understand the fact that thinking like this is a problem, and that like other ideologies similar to that is also part of the problem. Like you can't be quiet about races. It's just like the example in the lecture, bystanders are part of the problem, where it's like the dude in the till in the back not doing anything when something bad is happening, or the person around the corner sees something going on that's not okay and just does nothing about it because it's not part of their problem. And I think examples like that would just be a good way to kind of let them know. And then like how I would change this to accommodate for older people, it would definitely be more like, you should do this, you shouldn't do that, just because in a sense, I think older people are just more racist because of how the world was, in a sense. And we kind of talked about this in lecture, but it's just kind of how like the past was. And it's a lot easier to teach people who with young brains who haven't been instilled for 40 plus years that what they're doing is okay when it's actually not. So in a sense, you just gotta like, you're doing this, it's bad, you should be doing this because it's not bad. And you just gotta like let them know, hey, you're racist, bro, like, not okay. And that's how it would be. That's how you gotta teach the old people.